This is Dez from Devildriver. You're listening to 90.3, the Metal Teddy Bear Experience.
And welcome back to the Metal Teddy Bear Experience here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is your host, Chris. I have a special guest on the line. I have Dez, the vocalist of Devildriver. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on, bro.
Dude, no problem. The pleasure is all mine. Excited to have you on. And I'm glad to be able to talk to you because we talked last time about Trust No One, but now we get to talk about Outlaws to the End, Volume 1, a country covers album, which is awesome, by the way. And
thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about this. I know you put out a lot of videos, like, commentary videos about this, but for the listeners who don't know what's going on, can you tell us how you got the ball rolling to make a country covers album?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find myself really having to explain myself more to people like in the UK and Europe or Australia, Japan, things like that. Because if you live in America and you go to a heavy metal barbecue backstage, if you're on the tour bus, you know that you hear, Pantera into Johnny Cash, into Slayer, into Willie Nelson, and nobody bats an eye. And the kid with the big, back patch that says Slayer, often has Johnny Cash patch as well. So in America, those outlaws kind of go hand in hand. They're allowed to sit at the heavy metal table and eat. And that's just always been the way that it's been. So every time I hear these songs, I've heard them heavy. The lyrics are the most poignant on the planet. The storytelling is unreal.
Hello?
Of their, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you just cut out for a quick second.
Oh, sorry, bro.
That's okay.
These guys are like the Lemmy of their genre, these outlaw artists. And so we decided to kind of pay homage to it. And they've been able to sit at the heavy metal table and eat. And that's just the way that it's been. I don't like pop country or pop really anything. It's never been my thing. So doing these songs and doing them justice, doing them the way that we did them heavy with the guests that we have, it's just never really been done before. And we felt the need to do it, to pay homage.
I find that very true because I just saw Code Orange the other day at Irving Plaza. And in between sets, they were playing anywhere from Pantera because of Vinnie Paul, unfortunately, and then they would go to Johnny Cash, like that, back and forth. So it's interesting how like you said, how they did their time. They're like the Lemmy of our, their music.
Yeah, well, good for them, man. I mean, they are obviously younger and they're paying homage to what they know to be outlaw, to be core, and so that's a good thing.
And you have a lot of guests on this record, Outlaws to the End, Volume 1. You have Randy Blythe, Mark Morton, both from Lamb of God, Hank Williams leaving. You have so many people on this record. Is there anyone that was left off?
I mean, there's a couple people that I asked that were too busy to do it. Corey Taylor said yes, and actually we had a song picked for him, and then he got real busy with Stone Sour stuff. And Danzig was actually the first tour I ever had, longtime friend, and I called him, and he wanted to do it, but he got hung up with the Misfit stuff and working in the studio on his own stuff, but everybody else came to the table. There's just a phenomenal guest list on this thing. Working with the Cash family was incredible, working with John Carter Cash and Anna Cash, and I think for the listeners, they'll enjoy this story. But we pulled up to the Cash cabin in Nashville. It's hallowed ground for music. Everybody that's from Willie Nelson to, Chris Cornell just got done coming through there right before we got there. And it's pretty interesting. The first hour we were there, John Carter Cash wanted to spend, the first hour talking to us about his love of heavy metal and how it's saved his teenage years and everything else, and showed me a photo of Johnny bringing him to go see Ozzy when he was 10 years old, and showed me a photo of that. It was really cool. And I spent my time, talking to him about these outlaw artists and how I enjoy their writing and their phrasing and the lyrical content. So it was like a real meeting of the minds. And I said to him about halfway through the project, I said, do you think your father would like this? And without even, waning, he kind of said to me, oh, of course. I mean, my dad already did it. My dad covered Hurt by Nine Inch Nails. You know what I mean? He covered Rusty Cage by Soundgarden. So he did it the opposite way. But it was just fantastic to work with all these guests and to watch them give 110% to this thing. never put their hand out for money. This thing was like a labor of love to everybody. The logistics were insanity to even get this thing done. I told our manager 6 months ago, I said, I don't even know if this thing is going to get done. Money ran out halfway through. I mean, it became a labor of love for everybody involved, and it really shows through in the music if you listen to the record.
Oh, so like money ran out through like the label, or just like in general with the funding?
No, there's a budget for everything, right? Like if you're going to go to a family picnic, you've probably got a budget, and it's the same thing with a record. And the logistics of this thing just tapped it, and we kept going. And we kept going, we kept getting plane flights, we kept getting things that we needed to do to get artists on it, and even at the last minute, getting different artists on it that came up last minute. But it was a true labor of love. And I don't think that anything in life that comes out good comes from anything easy. And that's just always been my kind of thought. And so this thing is a labor of love, and I hope people really enjoy it.
Did you ever think about doing like a GoFundMe or Patreon or anything like that, like one of those websites?
No, man. That's kind of a thing that a lot of people are doing, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do that. I wanted to get this thing done and get it on our own, and if we had to come out of our own pocket and finish it, I didn't feel like I needed to go to the fan base and say, hey, we need to raise some more money to get it done. There's times for that, and, Devildriver's never been the kind of band to do that kind of a thing.
Okay, yeah, I totally understand that. I totally get that. And speaking about all the guests that you had 36 Crazy Fist Brock on the latest track, Copperhead. Did you like? So when you were getting all these guests, did you like already know what songs you wanted them to like sing on, or did you have them like pick songs and you guys pick songs together?
I mean, I had a feeling for people's voices. Everybody on this thing has a really unique voice, from Randy to Brock. I mean, and Brock has got a real unique voice. Kind of hard to put him in any kind of a category. And I just knew that song would be killer for him. I knew that he would kill Copperhead Road. I knew it. The same way that I knew Wednesday 13 would really kill If Drinking Don't Kill Me. So you just had to kind of match the voices up with where it should definitely go, When I asked Randy to be on Ghost Riders with myself and John Carter Cash and Anna Cash, he was actually at my house staying for like a week, and we were surfing, and I was getting ready to record Whiskey River, and I asked him, hey, man, you want to be on Whiskey River with me too? And he goes, let me hear it. And when he heard it was like a black metal tune, he jumped in immediately, jumped in my studio at my house, and we did that. We did Whiskey River with like the highest vocals he's ever done and I've ever used together. It was pretty badass. I'm
actually pretty excited for that track as well, because right now I know Ghost Riders in the Sky and Copperhead are like my two favorites right now that just came out, and I saw Whiskey and I was pretty interested to hear that one. So like, is there?
Yeah, that's playing all over Sirius Liquid Metal XM right now, and people are really getting turned on to that, which is cool.
Is there a certain track that's like one of your favorites off this record? There's 12 tracks, so is there one that really surprised you the most?
I mean, at this point right now, I don't really have that, but there is a track that I left alone with no other guest because I wanted it just for myself, and that's Outlaw Man by the Eagles. I've always heard that song heavy, and I didn't really feel the need to have any guests on that tune, so it's kind of the one that's, standing out in my mind because it's just me and the band,
Yeah. So, well, you were talking about how you had so many guests left over, like Corey Taylor and whatnot, but you said this also was kind of hard to make after a while. The budget ran out. So do you think you'll be doing Volume 2?
I mean, we slapped a Volume 1 on there only because we had so many phone calls right before we turned in the record from a lot of artists that said, hey, man, if you would have asked me, I would have been part of this. And I just had no idea. And 3 of them were like in the biggest bands on the planet. So at that point, it kind of was incumbent upon us and management and everybody to slap Volume 1 on there just to see if Volume 2 does happen. And that being said, man, I am not looking forward anytime soon to starting something like this. And this is for all the bands or like real fans of bands listening to this. Like, this thing was so hard to get done. If you really want to go try it, go ahead, man,
Yeah.
It was difficult,
So you said like one of the biggest bands was Metallica on there? Any members from Metallica?
Not on this one, no.
Okay. No, I'm saying like that wanted to join, that gave you a phone call.
Well, I'm not going to share any of those names right now, man. But,
okay.
But
totally understand
definitely, that. I mean, just imagine the biggest bands on the planet. I've got at least 3 of those cats called me and go, hey, I definitely want to do it. So we'll see what goes.
Okay. Well, my other question is about how you guys have such a lengthy career. Like, this is going to be your 8th record. So a lot of bands have been doing like anniversary shows or tours or anything like that. Do you have any interest of doing like a 15th anniversary show for your JB record or anything like that?
No, man, I don't look at the rear view. That's part and parcel to keeping yourself relevant and keeping a career going. You don't look at the rear view until it's time to look at the rear view. And right now is not the time to look in the rear view. We're releasing this record. We're in the studio right now recording 25 songs for a double record that's going to be a concept, double album concept record, staggered release. So you're going to get a release every 15 to 18 months from Devildriver from here on out in my career. Part of the reason is that a lot of people are really saying, hey, not a lot of people are going to heavy metal shows anymore. Heavy metal's not selling. Metal and rock are taking a big hit, which is true. So if you leave a plant and you don't water it, you water it every 4 years, 5 years, make a record every 4 or 5 years, don't you think that plant's going to die? So what I'm saying to everybody in the scene right now is if you make a record every 3, 4, or 5 years, you need to kick it up, get with me. Get it every 15 months to 2 years. Start building this scene back up. All of us are responsible. So that's what Devildriver is doing now, and I'm making a concerted effort to kick it up. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but when I was young, I got a record a year from my favorite bands, and sometimes 2 records a year from Kiss. So, you know.
Now, I find it interesting that you were saying that because Code Orange was actually talking to Jamie Josta about this on his podcast, how he believes that the scene needs to start putting out singles. So Code Orange has been putting out like singles instead of albums. Like they think that's the new way to, with the whole streaming age and all that. What do you think about that, putting out singles instead of albums?
No, I don't. I think singles and EPs are a total waste of time.
Wow. Okay.
They go completely unrecognized. You get 1 or 2 songs, 3 songs they listen for a week or 2, and then they're done. But for some reason, when they get a record of 7, 8 songs, they live with it for a year, year and a half. It's the craziest thing. And you can see it in sales. Bands that released EPs, you go look at the sales, nobody buys them. You add 5 songs to that, it's a record, everybody buys it. Why is that? It's a strange thing happening in music right now. But I'm staying way away from the releasing singles, releasing EPs. Like, I'm staying way away from that. That's not where we need to go at all. That's not where we need to go at all. Everybody just starts to need, make music, right? Like, what's the problem? Why can't you create 8, 9, 10, 11 songs once every 15, 18 months? What is the problem? Why are bands having a hard time getting 12 songs out every 3 to 4 years? What is the deal? I can't fathom it. I wrote 2 songs this morning before most people were awake. That's what a musician does.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, man, and I don't mind stepping on everybody's toes that's listening to me right now because y'all need to kick it up. You all need to kick it up. We all need to help this scene. We all need to foster our scene. We all need to be part of our scene, and to be part of it, you got to start kicking in, releasing records, And it's the same thing for the newer, younger bands. They're doing the same thing, too. Record every 3 years. It's like, you think you're going to get a career out of that? Nah. That's why so many bands are like, oh, they came up. Oh, where'd they go? Well, you haven't heard from them. They released a song they released a record 3 years later. No one cared. Here's the thing. Kid goes into high school, freshman year, gets a great record, falls in love with the band, wears the T-shirt daily, doesn't get another record until he graduates. Don't you think that's ridiculous?
Yeah, no, I definitely do.
That's where we're at right now, and I'm pointing the finger, and it's time to kick it up,
No, I definitely agree, especially with the longevity of records. Like, Trivium came out with their album back in October, and I'm still kicking it when I'm driving, I'm still playing that record right now.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, there you go. But if it was an EP, you might have been done with those 3 songs.
Yeah,
and that's just... You know what I mean? And that's just what happens. There's that feeling of like, oh, I got a single. Cool, I jammed it for a month straight, but I'm done. Same thing with an EP. And I come from the punk rock scene. I love punk rock. I come from that scene, man. That's like my music when I was younger. And it was like records. If you got a single with some B-side, and then you got another record like 4 months later. It is craziness, but I don't know what's going on. We're going to start kicking it up. You'll get one every 15 to 18 months. And
awesome.
We've got, all the record companies are behind us to do that.
For anyone tuning in right now, you listen to 90.3 WMSC, the Metal Teddy Bear Experience. I'm here with Dez, the vocalist of Devildriver. So on my show, I asked 3 random silly questions. I don't know if you remember this from last time. You ready to take part in this?
Go ahead, bro. I'm in.
All right, here we go. If you could take any of your albums and make it into a movie, which album would you pick, and who would be the star?
Oh, pretty good.
Thank you.
I would take The Fury of Our Maker's Hand, which is our second record. It has a lot of religious overtone, and there's reasons behind that you can look up. But I would take that, and I would use... Ryan Gosling would be good.
Nice. I hear his name a lot. A lot of people say Between the Bear to Me said they want him too for a movie. So I guess a lot of metalheads like him.
You know why? Because I just watched the newest Blade Runner last night. Probably one of the most beautifully filmed artistic films I've ever seen. I mean, just if you want sci-fi, it's unbelievably well done, and he's in it. And so kind of that was what made me think. I've never really been. I don't want to say been a fan because I haven't seen a ton of stuff with him. I don't. But after watching him last night, like, oh man, I'm a fan of his acting style. He did a great job.
I still have to see that movie. I've been putting it off, but I definitely have to see it.
It's fantastic, and it's 110% sci-fi. It's unbelievable. It's beautifully filmed, like so artistically beautifully filmed. You'll see what I'm saying when you watch it.
And I think that's a solid album choice too, because I could see Driving Down the Darkness as a great soundtrack track.
Ah, there you go, bro.
All right, so my other question I have for you is ice cream cake an actual cake, or is it ice cream in the shape of a cake?
It's ice cream in the shape of a cake, and it's mint and chip ice cream, but I'm vegan, so it's going to have to be soy or coconut milk or something like that. Actually, Ben & Jerry's makes an amazing non-dairy vegan ice cream. Like, they nailed it.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they nailed it. It's exact. Most of those kind of ice creams, it's just like all icy and just doesn't taste right, but they nailed it. It's creamy, it's good, it's tasty. For people who are vegan, Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah, guys, check it out. I know I will. Just to taste it, you know.
Yeah.
Question number 3, last question. As of now, there's a movement out there to remake The Last Jedi. Do you think The Last Jedi should be remade?
I don't know. Anytime you go try to remake a piece of art, is it going to come out better? I mean, it's just. When's the last time you saw a remake better? I got to really think about that. You know.
Yeah, usually not. Usually they're good in their own way, I guess.
I mean, that movie just left me hanging with so much. You know, a Jedi doesn't leave. A Jedi doesn't take off and hide. A Jedi fights. You know, I don't know, man. That movie. I'm a huge Star Wars guy, Star Trek. I mean, I'm a geek.
Yeah.
And I have been since I was a kid. I'm a total loner, isolationist, completely private. Sci-fi and music saved my life. So when I watched that movie, I was just like, oh, really? Could have done so much more. And I don't know. Star Wars had more of a dark element to me that really is not being put in there and followed up. Too much so, but we'll have to see. You know, to each his own. And
last time I asked you about Rogue One, if you were excited to see it, and I'm assuming now you saw it. So what did you think?
I think it was fantastic. Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's worth watching. I saw it in the movie theater, and I rarely go to movie theaters. You know, you can obviously see why. It's just,
yeah, you're always
touring. But I rarely go to movie theaters. But I went, and it was fantastic, man, and. It was great, too. It was like a Monday morning at like 9 o'clock, and there was like one person in there besides me and my wife. It was great.
That is awesome. So that was the Random Silly Question Saturday. Thank you for partaking in that. And my last question to you, do you have any touring plans happening? You coming through the East Coast here in New Jersey, New York anytime soon?
Well, we're getting ready to, we leave on Sunday, and we have rehearsals on Monday in Nashville, which is pretty appropriate after doing this record, Outlaws Till the End. And we start just a week run. We're going to do Incarceration, which is at the Shawshank prison, which is going to be fantastic. And then we play Wisconsin, USA, which is going to be massive. Got some off shows with Core. And then we're coming home to finish off the studio before we have a big August run that's overseas and huge festivals, you know, in the UK, Germany, France, all about that. So I'm working on trying to come out in the fall time with Devildriver, but we're going to have to see right now. I'm putting together a package, and we'll see if it comes together. If so, plan on seeing us like mid-October through mid-November in the States. Otherwise, you won't catch us till next year.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I feel like every time you guys come through, you come by Starland Ballroom as well. So I can't wait to see you around.
I love Starland, man. It's like family to me. Those people treat me so well, and I've been coming there since I was a kid in Cold Chamber. So especially, the East Coast to me is like if you make it in the East Coast, you can make it anywhere. So New York for me it feels like home. I got a lot of friends there and a ton of friends in Jersey.
Oh, there you go. Hopefully you'll stop by the station sometime soon.
Yeah, brother. If you'll have me, I'll come on by.
Thank you
very much for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care.